Hey guys, how's it going? It's Janie over here at Janie Sweets, and in this episode I'm coming at you with a tutorial on how I made this 50 Shades of Grey inspired cake, or a male bust cake that you can make for any bachelorette party or stuff like that. I made this cake in collaborations with Rosie over at Rosie's Dessert Spot, so I will link for you guys her version or her PG version of this theme. So let's get started with the cake. You're gonna have to bake a quarter inch or a quarter sheet cake. Now I baked mine in chocolate because my guy had to be made of chocolate, but you can bake it in any flavor that you prefer, just as long as it is a nice butter cake. It will be just fine. So just go ahead and carve out the male bust. Now there's no right or wrong way to do it. You just kind of have to keep looking and referencing pictures. Here I'm just going to cut out parts of the bottom under his pecs so that I can make space for his abs, and then just cut out around his legs. And a good idea whenever you are carving is to crumb coat the cake, even though it is not completely carved, so that you see exactly what you are working with. I don't know why it works, but it works. Whenever the cake is crumb coated, it looks different than when it's just bare. So go ahead and crumb coat the cake, and then once you're done, you're just gonna go ahead and make some cake pop dough with your leftover cake and your icing. And then I'm just going to form some pecs for him. You want to make sure you don't make this too protruding because you don't want this to look like boobs. It has to just look like pecs, right? So just go ahead and make it as flat as you can, but you still want it to kind of pop out and be 3D. So make 2 of them, try to make them symmetrical, but don't kill yourself. If it's not a big deal. So here I'm just tracing out where the abs are going to be, because of course he has to have a 6-pack. And then I am using my cake pop mix to create his 6-pack. And again, this does not have to be perfect. This is just the base of how you are gonna want it to look. So here I'm just creating like that little indentations that some guys have in between their abs and their legs. And then I'm going to crumb coat the entire thing one more time to see what I'm working with. And then once I'm done, I'm just going to continue to carve out whatever I feel does not belong or does not look right. So keep going until you are 100% happy with how the body looks. Now once you're done completely icing the cake, you're just gonna pop that into the refrigerator just for a little bit while you roll out your fondant. And then once that's done, you can go ahead and lay that fondant right across the cake, and then using your fingers, you're just gonna wanna contour the body and make sure that the fondant, it lays perfectly flat on top. So you can use whatever tools that you need, or if you just have your hands, that'll work as well. But these ball tools and those fondant shapers work really, really good with going in between the grooves and making sure that his abs are really sticking out or standing out. And then go ahead and grab a paintbrush or dry paintbrush, and then go ahead and remove all of the cornstarch before you start airbrushing. Now I am just airbrushing this with a bit of brown just to give it a base color. You could also just dye this ivory to start with, but I just went ahead and just airbrushed it. It was just easier for me to do it that way. And I'm just gonna give it just like a base coat, and then using some vodka with some ivory food coloring, I'm just going to paint on his tan. So you can make him as tan as you want, as dark as you want. There's no right or wrong way to go about this. Just make sure that you've diluted the ivory color a lot, so you don't want streak marks on this cake. Now I'm just gonna go ahead with the brown and just make the indentations a little bit harsher or darker. And then I'm just gonna give him a belly button, and then go ahead with the brown color again, and then darken that up. Now once that's done, I have this cup themed candy mold, like chocolate mold. I'm using it with gum paste, but it is meant for chocolate, so I'm just gonna sprinkle it with some cornstarch so that my gum paste does not stick. And I just want the handcuff part of it. So I'm just gonna stuff the gum paste inside of it until it completely covers it, and then I'm doing the same thing for the other part of the handcuff. And then I'm just gonna use a knife or a sharp object to kind of like push it out of there. You're just gonna have to be gentle because this is not going to bend because it's meant for chocolate and not fondant. Now just leave that to dry overnight, or as long as you want it to. Overnight is better, or longer if you can. And then I'm going to do the same thing with my chain mold. Just put some cornstarch in there so that it does not stick, and then just kind of shove everything in there until the indentations stay on it. And then once I'm happy with that, it's just gonna go to dry. Just make sure you lay it in a way that you want it to be, because once it's dry, it's not going anywhere. So in the meantime, I'm gonna work on the pans. I'm rolling out here some gray fondant, and then I'm going to just make the bottom of my guy sticky with just some water. And then I'm just gonna lay the pans right over it. And then using my hands, I'm going to smooth it out and then just cut an opening so it looks like the pans are in the middle of coming off, right? Like he's taking off his pants. So just cut off all the excess so that it is flush to the cake. And then you can go ahead and give him some nipples in the meantime. I'm just gonna mark where I want them to be, and I've just rolled out a circle of brown fondant, just any color that is darker than his skin tone. And then I'm just gonna put like 2 little knobs in the middle. It's just kind of self-explanatory. You see what I'm doing. So I'm just gonna lay a piece of plastic over the body because I'm going to spray paint the pants with just some blue. I want it to look like denim, so I'm just gonna go ahead with some blue and some brown just to give it some depth. Like I never spray paint anything or airbrush anything with just one straight color. If you ever notice, I like to add depth to it. So anyway, once I'm done with that, I rolled out a piece of brown fondant, and then I just used like the bottom of a tip, like a round tip, and then cut out some circles just to look like a belt. And then I'm just gonna lay it across just like so. Now to make the buckle of the belt, I've rolled out some gray fondant, and then I'm just going to cut a rectangle out of it, and then cut out the middle of the rectangle. And then that'll just serve as my buckle. So I'm just gonna loop it around the belt like that, and then I'm just gonna put a little knob in the middle right here. So once that's done, I'm just gonna lay across some, like I guess the loops. I don't know how you call these, but you know, when you're looping your belt through your pants, like it's gonna go through something. So you gotta put that on, and it's the same color as my pants. I airbrushed it the same color. Now, I literally don't know what happened at this point. Like this tie does not look like a tie at all, like, but in the moment I thought this is what it was supposed to look like. So what I'm trying to make here is a tie, in case it's confusing to anyone, because 50 Shades of Grey is known for like a gray tie, and I wanted to lay that across his body. And then I'm just going to grab my handcuffs and then airbrush it with some gunmetal color, and then just using a silver highlighter dust, I'm just going to dust all over it just so that it looks a little bit more metallic, and then just lay that across his body. Now I use the handcuffs, but that's definitely optional. You don't have to use it if you don't want to. So once that is on his body, I'm just gonna spray it with just a little bit of water. You can use vodka or something like that, just so that it looks a little bit more shiny. And then once that is done, this is it, you guys. This is how you make a 50 Shades of Grey cake or a male bust cake. I really hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, definitely give this video a thumbs up so that I know you did, and share it with your friends and family. Definitely do not forget to check out Rosie's. It is a stunning cake. You could have this for like a sweet 16, even like a masquerade ball. It's absolutely stunning, so I will link it for you guys below. So as always, guys, check out my last video if you click on this annotation right over there. Subscribe to the channel so that you do not miss out on any of my future videos. I am on Instagram as well as on Facebook. All of my socials are at Janie Sweets. I love you guys. I'll talk to you next time.